Okay, so we should be live now. And today here, what we are going to do, so it's an ad hoc live stream. So it's a live coding. It's coding that I need to do anyway. So now I'm trying to stream them when I can. And what we're going to do is add DeepSeek and actually upgrading DeepSeek because it's already supporting DeepSeek, Genai, my crate. But the problem is it only supports with the DeepSeek.com and not Ollama. That is the way that the mapping of the name is done. So I want to make sure here that we can do it via DeepSeek.com, but also that we can go directly to Ollama. So there's a couple of strategies. We're going to do one today, and then we're going to make it more flexible tomorrow. But at least we can do that. This live stream will be public during the streaming and probably unlisted for like 24 hours or something, such as people start it and cannot finish it, they can finish it. And then we'll do the member only for the live stream archive. So that will be the strategy for now. So bottom line is, let me pop up the chat actually. I have a whole little thing with the chat. Okay. So this is my crate, which is the Genai crate. So you can find it, it's fully open source, and you can find it in crates. So we're going to see that there. And that is the Genai. Okay, so that is that crate that you see over there. And that allows us to talk to any kind of LLMs. So that is the goal of the crate. And in fact, if I show here, this one is a hide. It's a fancy kind of diagram, but this is it. And so it talks to OpenAI, Gemini, Ollama, Anthropic, Cohere. It goes also to Grok, such as we can have the Llama models and the Grok things. And is also today go to DeepSeek, but only the .com. Yeah, so the goal here is to be able to go to Ollama, DeepSeek, as well as the DeepSeek.com. So that's the goal. So let's go back to our code. And so if I do a cargo test, and that if we go to the version here, where we're going to develop this one. Created a branch here in case I do something wrong, but sometime when I add this kind of features, this one is not going to be a big one. I mean, from a code standpoint, I don't make a branch all the time, but this one I made a branch. So I'm going to do cargo test, and it's going to actually break quite a bit. So make sure that you have when you do a cargo test on this one, you need to have all of the environment variables. And the way it works here as a test, and this is very important to test because otherwise everything will break all the time, is we go through all of these tests here, which is basically the test per providers. Anthropic, Cohere, DeepSeek, Grok, Ollama, OpenAI, and then the XAI. Now, it tests only one model for each. The goal is not to test all the models, but at least that the API works, that the abstraction works. So that is a goal. So it succeeded, except there's the first things here. I just did it before as well. I want to fix a bug. So there's one that failed here, which is a test Grok. These guys fail. And the reason why it fails because it said that the model name was a preview. And now it's not supporting the preview anymore, which is fair. And was probably my mistake here. I shouldn't have put the model preview for testing. So what we're going to do, and Grok is a little bit a special one, the way that the Grok name works, so the way we decide which model it is, there's a logic somewhere, and it's here. Okay, so the way it works is we have adapters that are adapters per providers. So there's an adapter per provider like that. Usually I don't have this test per providers. It's just that in this particular library, this is very appropriate to have this kind of architecture, because this way, you see, I always test. It goes to a common test that I have on support. And then I can test all of those different providers, and I change the model. So the model that I need to change here, the grok here, is this one, which is a preview, which it doesn't like it because it's outdated now. And the way that groks works, the mapping, it works like in the adapter. If we go back, okay, we do the adapter kind, and that is the logic. So the logic that we have over there is these kind of things where if you start by GPT or ChatGPT or O1, that will be the OpenAI adapter. Then it's also start with, for grok with a K, is XAI. So this one is confusing. Then it goes to the DeepSeek. Then it goes to the grok. And so the grok has these hard-coded models because sometimes they overlap with Ollama. So we're going to add a new features later to Genai to allow to specify the adapter we want. So like this, people can go explicit, but it's nice to be simple here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the grok model, and that is where we have a lot of previews and things over there. So that is what needs to be changed, because right now the mapping is hard-coded with that. And we're going to change the hard coding for now, and then later we're going to make it more flexible. But for now, we need to have the new version of this. And for that, I'm going to, where is my stuff here? And feel free to chat here. I think I have the stuff. Questions. Then if I did my OBS right, I should be able to show chat somewhere like that. That's going to work. Yeah. Except that we don't see the latest one. So sorry, yeah, I'm going to go back on this one. Sorry, a little bit of home cooking over there. So you see how the OBS kind of work. Okay. So now what we want to do here is get the list of grok models. So what I have in all of these adapters, this is just like a convention I have, because all of them, they have the API documentation, the models, and the pricing. So sometimes I put the pricing. And the model names is the most important. So if I go there, we'll open my Chrome here, but I need to go. It will point over here. So that is a model, basically, that we have. So that is the new models that we have. And then before we had this kind of the preview model below and so on. So right now, we need to make sure that we're using, that those guys are in this list, because otherwise are in the list of the adapter. Because otherwise it's going to be a little bit of a pain. So I think I have the GEMA 2 9B stuff, and then the preview here. I didn't really use the preview, but those is, which one I've been using here for my test? 8B. Tool use preview. I don't know why I did this guy. Perhaps because I wanted to have the function calling. So let me, so now what we want is, so the one that it doesn't like is this this guy here that I'm using in my test. Because now we do not have, interesting. So in production, they don't show. I don't have the llama. Oh yeah, okay. That's fine. I don't know why I was using that. Because so this one I can remove those two because they're not even supported anymore. So I should be using that on my test. I'll go back to my test and I'm going to go to my grok. In grok, la Genai model failed to produce JSON without proposed color. Okay. Put a note over there. So I'm going to do that. I'm saving that. And unfortunately, that might break. And otherwise, if that doesn't work, we'll use another preview here, which is going to be, a preview model. But they don't have the tools preview. Otherwise, we'll try to use this one, I guess. Tool preview went out. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to do that. And so the way I work here, and this is my architecture. Yeah, this is why I have these kind of things, because now what I can do is I'm going to do it. Yeah. I have a little alias here, and I'm using cargo watch. Sometimes I'm using bacon, but for tests, sometimes cargo watch works better because it's simpler. So I'm doing a cargo watch and I'm going to do a test p grok. And so what that does, it doesn't do any magic. What that does is a cargo watch test. And then it does for this file, so -- test this file. And then I'm just going to test one function. So I'm just going to test this one just to make sure that that one works. And that is the way I do it, yeah, because the way that my alias works, and I should put the alias somewhere, but the way that this alias works, it does a cargo watch and it does a -- no capture. So if I do a println, I will see the value and then I can debug my issues. So this one kind of work, and then I'm going to have I think it was this one. Okay. So now I'm going to stop it and I'm going to do this one. That works now. So I'm going to do that. And so then the way it works is if I do test, because all of my functions, they start with test. A chat, for example, if I wanted to test, so that will test all of them. That is my way here that I test one provider at a time. So now it works much better. And now I'm going to test all of them, even the non-chat. And it works better. So I think something got fixed in the JSON mode in their own. That's why they took it off of the preview. So it's fine. So now what we're going to do is I want to go back to my adapter. And I want to make sure that I didn't forget anything. So now I think I have this guy here that I don't know it. I don't think I have this guy. This guy is the first time I've seen it. I need to find a better way to. But we're going to see later. So I want one way is I want it to make it simple, such as we just have one name and then goes to the right one, and then it falls back to Ollama. So that is the way that I have it. The problem is that then require to kind of update those guys. And I don't have the 3.3. The whisper, we don't need it because we don't support we don't have the API for voice, for text-to-speech. Seven, 8B, yeah, we have it. And then the whisper, we don't have it. And then the preview, I'm going to the vision preview. This is interesting. Do I have a vision here? Genai was supporting the preview, the vision. So now we added that. I don't remember if we added for Grok, but we added for all the OpenAI. So you might also have this. But now these preview guys are gone. So I'm not sure they will even work. And I'm not going to use the preview. Later, what I'm going to add is a concept of namespace. So a double name, we can do Grok, : and whatever model. And that will force to use the adapter. So if there is no namespace, then it will try to guess. But if you want, you can force it to an adapter, and then it will go there. So that is my thinking here all the way. So now it's pretty cool because if I do a cargo test, hopefully everything should work. And then I will commit to say that I fixed this one. Now there's one thing which is annoying in this cargo. Top sequence, interesting. Okay, but that is this is what I was going to get. Cohere. Honestly, the Cohere has been giving me troubles. And I'm not sure a lot of people are using it, perhaps in enterprises, but so what I'm going to do, and then in Cohere, I need to have my API key, I need to populate it because right now it doesn't always work. So I do a cargo wash test, and I'm going to do a test P, Cohere, and then I'm going to do that one. And this will hopefully, okay, so it works. So sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it might be the API. I have a low threshold on API on Cohere. I need to put some money because otherwise I'm very low, and then when I do my unit test, it throws me off. So I think that was the case. So I'm not going to do another cargo test because otherwise I'm going to run out of Cohere. So anyway, so that is pretty cool. So I'm going to say JIT-C and I say Grok, fix the test model. Deprecated preview. Okay, so we have that. Now, what I want is, for example, I'm going to have my terminal. Let's see if I can do. Okay, that is a better terminal for us. And I have Ollama. Do I have Ollama? Yes, I have Ollama. And I think the way here to do it is if I go to Ollama. And I have the DeepSeek. So this is where stuff are getting very cool. The DeepSeek seems to be super amazing. I've been using a lot because Genai works with DeepSeek, and I've been using it with DevAI, and it's actually very nice. Yeah, I need to use next test. So there were a good comment here. Sorry. Yes, you could use the retry feature of Cardo next test. Yeah, I need to go back and look at next test to see if I can use it or not. And so one thing here is sorry about that, it's not me. And so DeepSeek R1, and then we have all these guys. And so the problem here is we see the ways that we are branching today. If we go to the adapter kind actually, we are saying, hey, if it's DeepSeek, go to the DeepSeek adapter, which means that then after it will try to go to the endpoint of DeepSeek. What we want is to say, well, a little bit for today, we're going to follow that strategy of Grok. It's going to be a Grok's models, so it's going to be a DeepSeek model. And then if it contain is there, otherwise it will fall back to Ollama. This way, if I have Ollama and the name doesn't match because I've checked they don't match exactly, then it will be fine. So what we want is to have this model and here's what I've done in my code is I make sure that that doesn't bleed, doesn't leak too much out of all of my crates. So that's why I like a lot, sometimes I do scope things like that. And this way I make sure that it doesn't go beyond adapter because that should be an adapter business and it shouldn't, client and everything shouldn't see that. So that is my way to check that my design is intent driven in a way. So I'm going to copy, those guys. And I'm going to go to my DeepSeek one adapter. I think it's a little bit big here. Hopefully that will be good for you guys. The Zoom 3 was a little bit too much for me. And then over there, I'm going to be that. Obviously, that has nothing to do with this. Oh, sorry, I already have it in. Okay, well, I'm sorry. So the reason why I have it here, the reason why I have it here is because I use model in everywhere, such as when you do a list models, you can get the models. It's a convenient way of getting the hard-coded models of a specific one, but I don't use the list model for matching for all of them. Sometimes it's just prefix, such as if it's not part of the model, I still route to OpenAI, for example. So I already had DeepSeek chat, and I'm going to go back now to our friend, not Grok. That is why I have these little things over there, which is cool because, oh yeah, they have the stuff on the same pricing. I go back there. And so that is the two models that they have. And this is the one we want. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think, it's quite a bit of more expensive. It's 10x on the output price, but it's not that much on the input. Oh yeah, it's 10x on non-cash, but it's only 5x there. So it's pretty cool. No, okay. Sorry, I'm getting confused. That is a cash hit, so it's 10x. And when it's a cash miss, it's less than 10x, I guess. But otherwise, it's 10x, but it's still much cheaper than O1. Because O1, you're at $15 here or something like that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We have the reasoning. And so what we want to do is go back to our DeepSeek over there. And then we have that. Okay. So now we have this. And so the logic in our adapter kind okay, this is a good question. I will answer to your question. It's a super cool question here. But wait, this one is awesome. This is why I love chat, even if there is not a lot of people, is awesome. This is awesome. I come back to you, stay here. Hopefully, don't leave. So DeepSeek, there I have the model, and I'm getting confused here, adapter kind, and then why does it say grok models here? I'm sorry, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fair enough. So I'm going to use the same pattern. I think there were a good reason for it. So DeepSeek, models. You know what? Actually, I don't like this pattern. I don't like it. So compile complaints, but then there's nothing wrong to say that. I don't know why. That's fine. And then I import a grok. I don't need to do an alias when it doesn't add any value. Yeah. And so this one, I'm going to have the same strategy on this guy. So the bad part of this strategy again, but that I'm going to have another features which overlay on this one, which will be the namespace. So you will be able to specify something like that. Like right now you say DeepSeek chat, and then the goal is just by giving this name, I find out which one it is. And if you say GPT for O, it does it. Because usually the names are relatively, they have their own prefix, yeah, kind of. Now, it gets tricky sometimes with Ollama models and Grok, which is a service that serves Ollama model, and DeepSeek also, which is open source and everything. So those are the tricky part. And so my plan is to say, if you want to force something, you can say, you could say Ollama, for example, or DeepSeek. So it's the lowercase version of this guy, of the adapter kind. And then you will be able to say DeepSeek. And so in this logic here, I will say if it's Ollama, if you have a namespace, I will change the stuff. If you have a namespace, then I will map it directly. So that I'm going to change that later. There's also something in Genai where you have full control anyway, because it could fall back on Ollama, but then you have a way to do a service target where you can return whatever you want as an adapter and stuff. So today it's already possible to do whatever you want, just more work sometime, you know, because you have to register a service target resolver. So on this one, long story short, we are going to do exactly what we have there, which is going to be a DeepSeek models. Okay, something is not, doesn't like it, hopefully. Okay, so everything compiles, 190% true. And I'm just going to test here. The only thing I'm going to test is cargo watch. So again, that is a cargo watch test. I will look again at next step, and then I'm going to do a test P DeepSeek. And then I'm going to do a test. Let's do a simple one. Yep, cool. And now I'm going to be a little bit more optimist. Okay, very cool. So that's it. I think we fixed it. Again, I didn't do the namespace business, but I did fix it now, which is now on this one, we just do that. I can run the test. I mean, just for you guys. You wouldn't be here, I wouldn't do it, but just for you, I can That should work, yeah? It's going to cost a little bit, but I don't think it will cost that much more for this little test. Okay, we'll see. Ah, oh, up. Interesting. Interesting. The API is not the same. I was expecting to be the same. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so we go one by one. Okay, that's fine. That's why. So I'm going to do the simple. So that's why I split the test like that. So we're going to do the simple first to see if it makes sense. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to do this guy. That is when I have multiple systems. Sometimes it kind of fail when. Okay. So I think the one that breaks is the stream guys. Okay. So right now, I will put a user node on the user here. I think those guys are testing. And then the rest. Okay, so let's start that. Oh, interesting. So, like right now, I don't want Genai to be in the business of knowing who support what. So this is a completely valid, like for me, it's not a bug of Genai. It's not a bug of necessarily of DeepSeek because they are saying it. They say, hey, sorry, this model doesn't support that. So I don't want to have Genai preventing the API to go through, but at the same time, I don't think it's a bug of Genai, this one. So for example, for this case, I would say, what it doesn't support this guy, the JSON output, yeah, where it is. So that stuff, and say, and I'm going to go back to the DeepSeek chat. So it's like, not, yeah, I kind of spell. Does not support stuff. And I'm going to put a date. Okay. So this we know. I'm going to go back anyway to the other guy. So I'm going to comment this one. Now it should be okay. So at least I know. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to make a note today for myself and for others, whoever. Okay, I'm going to have that and say, okay, now I'm going to enable those guys. I'm going to enable that guy. And then I'm going to put back So on the JSON output, it's clear. It's saying, I do not support JSON output. On the stream business, we saw all of these stream things. So that means that it doesn't send back the stream the same way. So I'm not saying that here the DeepSeek reasoner does not support streaming. It doesn't support streaming the same way. And that goes back to the question here that you have, this true, which they might have more information. The way they structure the streaming might be different. So that's why kind of get things. So that could be a feature, or could be considered a bug or a feature, it doesn't matter. Something that Genai should answer and hopefully, or should resolve, and hopefully should be able to normalize it to the same way out. The reason why that is not an easy, might not be as simple as it looks like, is because even if I found out why it didn't stream the same way, I don't think the developers were dumb. They did it for a reason, so they probably added more information. That's why they did it the different way. And if they did so, then I'm not sure that that will be able to be normalized back to what the format I have. So this is the thing, I need more time to think about this one. So that will be a later work. So now I do the chat. I have everything back enabled. And I should be able to. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so we did good work today. Now, a very good question here. Can I do a plus here? Do you have plan on having some sort of parser of the DeepSeek output to separate the chain of thoughts and result? Yeah. For that, honestly, to be honest, I will need to have more time to spend on this chain of thought things. So I know I've seen some demo, or you can explain the reasoning and then explain it. So I need to look at it, see how it looks. We now have this concept of multi-part response. No, multi-part to send, but I think we can have multi-part on the response as well. And so when we have the multi-part, we can have, if needed, I can try to normalize those. Usually when there's a new features like that, I'm trying to normalize them across all the API, because that's the value of Genai. And so it takes a little bit of time to see how OpenAI does it, at least, then Google, then Anthropic, and then DeepSeek. And I think those guys are the four big guys, because everything else aligned to them one way or another. So I think hopefully I need to look how this information is sent back. So hopefully I answer your question here, but that was a cool question. So I haven't given too much thought yet. So that should work. So now if I go back to my terminal, and I'm going to go to this guy. And bear with me, because every time I'm getting a little bit confused. So I'm going to take, which one I'm going to take? I'm going to take the 7B. I'm going to take the 1B to make it. So I think is Ollama serve this and 1.5b. Probably no, sorry. It's run. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to do the 1.5b of R1, but actually I don't want the R1. I mean, it's cool. It's, you know. And the reason why I don't want that one is because I want to test the chat, the stream, and all these business guys. Okay. Oh, yeah. I cannot have this. This one is way too big for me. I can try this guy. I'm going to try this guy after. Because the trick is, we already know that the stream and the function doesn't really work the same. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting anyway, too. Okay, how did I do? I have to buy something. Okay. So I have this guy, and I'm going to do a Ollama run DeepSeek coder, and we're going to take the 1.3b. Okay, that's pretty cool. That is running. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to my llama, to my Ollama, and we're going to do. So that is really today here on this ad hoc live stream. It's really the way I code. Yeah, so I'm explaining a little bit more. I don't talk to myself when I code. I mean, sometimes I do, but usually I don't explain it like that. But it's the same kind of process I'm doing. You know, obviously when you code alone and without explaining, you go a little bit faster. But it's the same process that I'm doing. So right now I'm saying, okay, I want to go to the Ollama, test my Ollama. So I have my cargo wash test. And again, that is a shell function I created. Many of my videos, I have it show up. I will have it on my sketches. I can show it. But it's basically a cargo watch test. And then if I give 2, it will assume that the first one is the name of the file. So P like provider, Ollama. And now I'm going to test that guy. So the goal of that is not to test new stuff. I want to first test what is working, what has been working, to make sure everything is okay. And obviously the file one here, I'm trying to take a small one. Huh. Ah, okay, fair enough. And, oh no. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure, but I might not have the multi-staff enabled or whatever. Okay, so this is cool. I press save, by the way, and it will reload again. And if I do 2 stuff like that, everything should work very nicely. Okay, now let's have fun. If we do Ollama list, and we're going to take, I'm not brave enough. I'm going to take this one. So I'm going to take this guy here. Okay. And I'm going to do okay. Oh, pretty cool. Is it, so here, when things works, and there's not reason why it doesn't work, but I'm always cool. So this is stuff. So this is what I like a lot, and this is why the beacon here, when you put the no capture, sometimes you don't get some errors, and then you have to always say show raw mode and everything. So Cargo Watch is simpler. I will test next test here. But this is pretty cool. So I check that that works. And that is my debug print. So I have a little Rust 10x extension of VS Code. You can download it. It's obviously free. It's on VS Code. And that has a set of 10x snippets that I'm using. Yeah. And that allows me, then after I do a search for dash greater than, and I make sure they get removed before commit. So everything works pretty nicely. Now I can get a little bit more optimist. Oh, JSON mode is working. Everything is working pretty nicely. And then after, I think the other one is just list. It's nothing. I think everything was mostly chat for now. That's it. So this is pretty cool because now I do the DeepSeek and it goes there. And this is awesome. I can actually leave it like that. It's cooler these days. Now we can test this guy. Let's test this guy. I think it will fail, but I don't like when it fails. It hurts. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I know. Wow. I can tell you that I'm hearing my computer here. It's like dropping more. That's pretty cool. So I wouldn't keep this one because it makes the computer work more than it needed, but it works pretty well. So somehow there's something happening on the DeepSeek streaming stuff. And the problem of the streaming, honestly, I don't know what people think, but my take on streaming, it's a gimmick. I don't say that. It's a useful gimmick for the user to have the perception of speed, because now we have to wait multi-seconds to get our response. But it's not like, you know, sometimes, yeah, I guess people can read the thing through as he writes it. But usually when you automate things on the background, having streaming doesn't really help. Yeah, because you want to get and it's quite wasteful in many ways, because you send a lot of bits, parts, and then the whole message is sent again. I mean, it gets quite wasteful compared to just sending the result. But sometimes you have to have it. So I think I'm going to keep that. Aha. It's like that. That is always bad when you have this kind of bug. I don't know if you have some of you seen, but the JSON mode kind of fell once, and it's hard to know. No, it doesn't fail. But anyway, so that is something I don't know. It might come from the server or stuff. But I think that's it. I think we did the feature actually. This is pretty cool. Any question, feel free to ask in the stream. I might. So again, I'm doing this kind of live stream often. I'm going to try to do them, and then we'll see how it goes over time. But the goal is to have, like, adding a features, going to try to put it a little thumbnail such as people knows what I'm doing, and then it will be public for a while, and then eventually we'll put it in the member only stuff. And feel free to join the member things. It's always cool to have members, but I'm trying also to give a lot of public stuff. So the goal is not to make everything member. So this is pretty cool, I think. I think we're going to save that. So I'm going to do a git log. git add. I don't need to do a git add because everything was there. So I'm doing a search, and then I'm doing my little thing here to make sure that I don't have a leftover. Sometime oh yeah, a ton of git in this guy. So I'm going to do a git add git commit. So that is commit-a stuff. And then I'm going to say upgrade Ollama, because that is an Ollama thing in a way. Add DeepSeek support. Okay. And then I do a git checkout, or yeah, git checkout main. That's pretty cool. And then git log. So this is so far so good. I'm making sure that I have the 0.118 GPO. So I have a lot of aliases, me, because I don't like to type. Git push origin, oranges. That will, oh, that's not cool. That's my mistake. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. So it's cool that I've done a branch, so I got lucky. So I have a pretty cool thing that I like is my fork here. So because I'm going to remove here, reset main to here. I don't need to keep track. I'm going to say that. So now I have the thing I wanted here, over there, and I have my main here. And I can probably cherry pick. So I will solve that out of the live stream here, because I don't like to have a merge which is useless. So I'm going to try to have a clean branch without a merge, if it's possible. And then I'm going to push that. So that was the code before, but then after I would cherry pick and push it and move it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. And I think with that, this particular live stream, I think I'm going to end it, such as this a nice little package on one action. And then we'll do another stream. I think I have more stuff to code. I'm going to want probably to update, I don't know, DevAI with it. But if you do a cargo install DevAI, you will probably get that, this latest one. And so you will be able to do it in the DevAI. So DevAI is super cool. I'm making a video which is for members right now, early access members, but you will get it on Thursday, I think, or Thursday or tomorrow. And I made a pretty cool update on DevAI here with agent modules. So DevAI is the thing that allows you to see. So if you do a DevAI in it, it will create you the .devai, yeah, which you have over there. So that is all my little agents that I can have. So it has a default agent, and what I've added is a module agent, which is there. That is a good question here. And then we have two agents here that I've done, and you can do even your stuff in Lua. So in DevAI, agent is one markdown file where description is only for yourself, but the data will get executed. Then you can return whatever data you want. And so is Lua. So the Rust is built in Rust, obviously. And so the Rust is running that. It has some, you can use some cool function and stuff, and then you can return your data, and then you can have your prompt, and then you can have your instructions. So that is between system instruction and even assistant, or Genai trick even, because I call it Genai trick here to trick the model to say, you told me that even if you didn't. And then you have the output where you can save the things. And so with that, you do a DVI run, and you are going to do craft code, which is craft code, and that will automatically create, by default, it creates a craft_code.md, and then it has a placeholder. So all of this logic is in the markdown file, in the Lua block, and the Lua files that I showed you. And then after I can say, hey, do a loop. And by default, it's going to do in Rust, because Rust is the coolest. But if I want, I can say like that in Lua. So now it's going to keep that in context, yeah? So I'm going to press run, give it in Lua, and then I can say in Rust with Tokyo, sleep to 100 milliseconds. And then add Tokyo yield and explain why. So in my prompt, I say to not give me explanation, because that is just the way the prompt is made. I can do stuff. So here I need to say, explain me why the yield can be useful. So you have to be very explicit. Explain why was not enough here. And then usually when I do that, it does explanation. So again, and so the cool thing about that is you can take the agent, and so you say, oh, craft is pretty cool, but I want to change it. You copy paste over there, go to agent, paste it there. And now when I'm going to run, so to run again here on the same file, I just press R here. I just have VS Code that send on the shortcut. Command R is send it to the terminal. Yeah. But if I do a thing now, is going to go and run my code here, which is my prompt over there. So that is what it thinks. So if I do a run, here we see we run the default one. And then if I do a run over there, it will run my custom agent one. Okay? So that is the thing. I don't know why in this case is tough. Oh yeah, because I didn't save it, sorry. So now it's going to use stuff. And then the cool thing of that, so this is where everything fits together, yeah? The cool thing of this is here I'm using GPT-4, but if you want to change the model, you just go there, you go to config, you take here and you say DeepSeek chat. And that will take the DeepSeek chat here that you have on the thing. And then if I click run, it will do the same thing here because it's the same question. But if I click run, now I go into the DeepSeek chat. I don't know why it's a little bit slower. Oh yeah, it's a bigger one. And so it does the same thing here. And again here, because the reason here why you don't see the result is I forgot to save it. So that is a pretty cool thing. So that is how DevAI is another fully open source. It uses Genai below. So now the cool thing about that is if you build it with the latest one, so if you do a cargo install right now, I think you will get the latest one, and now you will be able to do the R1, the things that we've seen, and if you have it, it will go, or something like that, 7B or whatever, and it will go through your stuff. So that is pretty cool. Question here, what does a JSON test actually test if it's not structured output? This is a good question, and we can do the stuff there. So it's in support, common test, and I think it just says that is a JSON. So JSON mode, okay, yeah. So I have this little silly stuff in the chat message. I said turn the user content into the most probable JSON. So that is one, and then I have another one here, the structural output. So this one is not really the structural output, it was a JSON mode of OpenAI that they had before. And so I say, hey, give me kind of a JSON here that makes sense on this one. And then when it gets it, I exec the chat, I get it, I make sure that is or I check the token usage, and then I should have content, and then I parse it here to make sure. Oh, why it doesn't? Sorry, I lost my brush. Cannot work without my brush. And here I parse it, basically. And I'm not really doing anything. Here, I don't know why I do a pretty print here, sometimes because I was just pretty print to see what it makes sense. So I don't validate really the schema because I cannot really predict it, but at least I make sure that it's a JSON. And then I have a test here for the JSON structured output. So this one is more structured. And I give the same guy, but then I give the schema over there. So that is where I give the JSON schema. So that works with quite a bit of things. And then when I have the schema, I'm sorry, I have too much stuff here. Sorry about that. So that is kind of the schema business. And then I do a chat option, and then I check some of the stuff. So here, I check, for example, I get all the models, and I make sure that there's 3 models, basically, in the model length, in the vector of models. That is just a convenient way to get a JSON stuff. The X underscore is my pattern. And then I do this one, and I check that the first marker is first step. So hopefully I answer your question here. So the first one, I do a test JSON mode. They don't have all the JSON mode when they don't support. And then this one is a structured output. They don't all support structured output, but when they do, this is a test that run. It's pretty good. I mean, it covers the basics at least, you know. Then obviously some can, you know, there's stuff that won't be covered, yeah, but. So I think it's pretty cool. So I think we have the whole thing. I mean, this live stream was actually very productive. And we even did a little overview of the web dev, the dev AI, which is awesome. Dev AI I'm using a oh, nice, something cool to build would be a derive macro to create these schemas. Yeah, to create these schemas automatically, and we could fill the struct like Sade does. Yeah, that's true. In a way, I'm trying to have Genai, and there's a comment in the Genai Git that I need to answer. Someone say, oh, it's not fully typed and things. I want to keep it JSON in a way. I don't want to over-type it because then the whole thing is very rigid in many ways. There's some pretty cool things like, for example, you have a schema, it's a JSON schema or schema RS, I think. It's very cool, schema RS. They have cool things where you can get a schema, a JSON schema. And I did a video a while back, and there were a cool comment on the video where I did my own inline because most of when you have a JSON schema that you send for structured or tools or whatever, you have to inline the enums. And so I've created this whole, during the coding session, created this own like inline, this ad hoc inline. And in fact, schema RS supports it. So I think is with schema RS, you can do a lot of those. And then when it goes to, what's the name? Genai, keep it JSON in a way. The only difference is when you try to create that by hand, it's JSON schema to create by hand is always hard to parse for human. So schema arrays help because you have strongly type. One of the techniques that I did back in the days when there were no structure output and not even JSON mode, but there's something pretty cool is if you give TypeScript definition, like at least for me is very readable, interface stuff, because you have interface, output, and then you can nest your type there. And it's a very concise way of nesting, describing a structure, which for me is super simple to read, and the AI is actually very good at reading that. So that is the irony. I understand why they didn't do the thing like this, because it's not a full, it's kind of a programmatic stuff and things, but the TypeScript can work very well, and it's readable for both human and machine. JSON schema here like this is always, it's readable, but it's more work. Yeah. So anyway, finally, I think this one will be the end of the stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it and it gives some value. I'm going to push what we did here. I'm going to do the merge and push it to Genai. I will probably do a release as well of Genai, such as you can have that and people can use that. And then DevAI will be able to use what I did the next time you build it. And hopefully that was useful. And thanks a lot for everybody for joining. And until next one, happy coding. Okay, I think I can do that.